Welcome to the Falls Township Board of Supervisors meeting for March 18th, 2014. We'll begin our meeting with the salute to the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Poland?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Brasky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
Yeah, the records show Mr. Rocco is unable to attend. He had a work commitment this evening. We apologize for our late start. We had an executive session before we began. Mr. Clark, can you give us a summary of that executive session, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. During the executive session, the board discussed a matter of potential litigation and several personnel matters.
Thank you. All right, we're going to begin our meeting with public comment. Mr. Gray's getting the sign-in sheet. Thanks. Okay, first name on the list is Roland Kinney.
Of course it is.
Good evening, Roland, Kenny Falls Township. First, I'd like to thank some people that showed up at Charter Day at Penn Manor. Mr. Harvey, you and your lovely wife was there. Thank you. Mr. Dents, you and your lovely wife and your, was it your mother?
Mother and father, yes.
Mother and father was there. Thank you. And Judge Poslowski, she was there, and her son. And we had the governor there and his lovely wife. And we had lunch with them. And we had around 1,000 people showed up. It turned out to be lovely, and the 17th they took the charter back. That charter hasn't left Harrisburg in 60 years. And the last time it came down to Philadelphia. It's not the, we showed the proclamation and everything, but that's not the original. The original got lost when the house burned.
But I think the seal, because we talked to someone, the seal was not the original. The actual wax seal thing, that was not the original. The document itself was the original.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I got misinformed. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
That's true. Only other thing I want to say is, it's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's the last time I'm going to speak about 3 arches. Wasn't broke for 14 years. We shouldn't have fixed it. And that lady was willing. I talked to her tonight. She's still willing to run 3 arches the way she has always been. She don't have to live there. Now, the job I thought he had, it's only a part-time job, I find out today. So, if you guys can find it in your heart, give her a holler. She's willing to do it and not live there and still run it the way it was. And I drive by that every day and see nothing going on in there. So, give it your best. Good night and God bless you.
Thank you. Bill Irvin.
Hello. Coming back, I guess many of you know me as the crazy mosquito guy now. We're getting to that time of the season, so I figured it was time to stop back and see how we're making out. On July 25th of last year, we had a meeting in the development in North Park to discuss the problem with the creek. We had Mr. Tomlinson, Heidi Hoffmeyer, and Mr. Bauer from the Board of Health there, Mrs. Wright from Clark Mosquito, Pete and Rose Mull were there. Out of that meeting, we had several action items, which I followed up. Most of you guys received an email from me. Some of those action items were coordinating lifting the drains so the Department of Health and Amy from Clark Mosquito could scoop the catch basins to find out if there was breeding going on in the catch basins. They thought that could be where the mosquito breeding was coming from. All the vegetation running alongside the creek, the thought was could be creating a hangout. There is concern from Pete regarding removing the vegetation due to it being designated a wetland. If this was a wetland, I said that it's endangering the welfare of the residents, and we need to talk with the Department of Environmental Protection if they do consider wetland, because action needs to be taken. Installing some sort of matting during the winter to maybe to prevent some of the shrubbery from growing up back there, because Pete said that it's impossible to keep up with the growth during the summer. So I figured maybe we could prevent it before the shrubbery starts growing. I have brought up numerous times the possibility of stocking the creek with fish or other tadpoles, frogs, something like that, because they act to kill mosquitoes and mosquito larvae. Conduct a creek flow analysis to determine if the creek is adequate. This should be done with the representative from the Department of Health present, and I would have also liked to have attended, because I was told that the creek had adequate flow. You remember I sent you a picture of my piece of bread that I tossed in the creek that did not move. And on a July 17th, 2012 meeting, when I was here, Mr. Engineer, you had said that you did analysis of the creek and you find that it does not discharge anywhere. So we know that we have a stagnant creek with no flow that is breeding mosquitoes. After that, I had received an email back from Pete, because I sent this email on the 30th of July saying, "Be advised per your email, I am reviewing each item and will get back to you shortly." Of which, after no response, I emailed you, Bob, "I am seriously concerned and very frustrated regarding the lack of communication progress regarding this health hazard. It's time to start showing progress." To which your response was that you were going to, follow up, and we haven't heard anything since. So here we are. We're getting close to mosquito time, and I'm getting very frustrated. Bob, as you know, I sent you a picture last year. There's my wife over there of us standing out in the middle of the summer in June. My wife had long pants on, socks, and a long sleeve shirt. I had long pants on, socks, shoes, long sleeve shirt, because you cannot stand in my backyard without getting bitten by mosquitoes. There's my son. At the one meeting I was here, I handed you all pictures. My son was playing outside for 10 minutes and had 15 mosquito bites on him. There's my 3 daughters. It's not uncommon for them to get fevers and flu-like symptoms in the summer. We have had the Board of Health out there numerous times to trap mosquitoes, only to find West Nile virus breeding right off my property line, right there. Okay? This is the 4th time I'm here regarding this. I've contacted John Galloway, the state representative. He said he would go to the state to try to get permits waived for taking these action items. Now, I have waived some of the permits so we don't have to incur all the fees. I've yet to hear anything on this. My patience is worn thin. I'm the type of person, I can be your best friend or your worst enemy. I've been here numerous times, I've tried being your best friend. I said, let's work on getting this resolved. We've made no progress. You guys recently renewed his contract. We've seen no action. We've seen nothing, okay? I'm tired of my family getting sick and dealing with these problems and having my backyard that we can't use it. Bob, you guys, some of you guys are new. You've been here the longest since I've been coming up here. I'm holding you accountable for this, all right? We need to see some action, okay? I don't know what you're going to do, but we need to do something. This is the last time I'm going to come here and bring this to your attention. If you want to take this offline, we can go get a beer somewhere, sit and talk, discuss this, discuss some type of action. He's not doing anything about it. You need to do something about it, okay? You have my number. You can give me a call. We can discuss this. Otherwise, the next time we're going to be talking, maybe I need to be sitting up there with you guys, or I'll be filing paperwork and we can be talking in the court. Thank you.
For the record, and in Mr. Gray's defense, to say we've done nothing is completely untrue. there is no municipality in this county except for us that hires people on our own to spray for mosquitoes. No other municipality does it. They solely rely on the county. So we've expended, I'm not sure how many thousands of dollars every year.
Between 10 and 15,000.
Between $10,000 and $15,000 every year to spray and monitor mosquitoes in your area, as well as in Chatham Road area, as well as Martha Circle area, areas over by Alden Avenue. We coordinate as much as possible with the county. What we have with this stream is a stream that has been there for as long as, longer than anybody else.
Not a stream, it's a stagnant cesspool.
It's a stream. It's on maps going back to 1938. The stream is there.
Stream would indicate flow.
Well,
this isn't a stream, it's a stagnant cesspool
there
of
is
water.
a flow
There is no flow.
We have an engineer who can certify the fact there is a flow. I don't know how much flow. Obviously, I'm not going to ask him to give me
Well,
quotations right now.
I asked for the documentation regarding the flow analysis, and I never received it. So therefore, I'm going to assume that there's no flow unless you provide me something otherwise.
Well, I don't know. What do we have, Mr. Sullivan?
The only thing we probably have is what FEMA has done to determine the floodplain. There should be some kind of analysis of flow with those documents.
And that was done how long ago?
1999.
Okay. 15 years later, that creek has not been cleaned, has not been treated. There's all debris. There's no flow.
Well, we can certainly say what we have in terms of
15-year-old documentation.
information, if that's what we have.
That's really all there is. They haven't done an updated flood study there, in their process of doing one, but not for your section of North Park.
In terms of cleaning it out, obviously most of the debris that's there is from residents of North Park, quite frankly, that throw it, yard waste, et cetera, into that creek.
And all those trees that fell down
And trees
that are
that
in there?
fall, and it's unfortunately part of the natural environment when you get a creek, and there are DEP regulations that preclude us from just going in and digging and ripping out every piece of
So
of
that's
foliage
why I
we can
said
have.
we need to contact the DEP. It's a health hazard, okay? If a tree falls down in this creek and causes no flow, it's a dead tree that's fallen in the creek. You're going to tell me that we're not allowed to touch it, so we have to stay there and let our residents get sick?
I've been told stranger things by the DEP, but I don't know precisely.
Well, then
what they're gonna tell me.
that's where we need to get John Galloway involved. And I've told him multiple times. He said he'd go to bat for us to do something about this. You need to contact him. He can't contact you. Fourth time I said this.
Okay.
And to say that you guys spray, okay, spraying is treating the symptom, not the cause. Okay, you spray, you kill the mosquitoes that are in the air. After that, all that breeding that's happening back there, those mosquitoes are back a couple days later. Okay, so you can spray once every month and you kill mosquitoes for 2 days and that's it. Okay, it's not doing, that spraying is doing nothing.
In
It
terms
doesn't
of,
do anything.
It does something, because I remember looking at test numbers of mosquitoes, and your area was going down all summer, whereas it was much, much higher, way higher in other parts of this
Come on,
township.
sit in
where
my
we were
backyard at
still-
7 o'clock at night
Well,
and you can tell me if it's doing something.
Well,
or not.
I know there's a lot of areas that are actually worse than yours, Mr. Irvin. We're trying to do the best we can. You bought a house that backs up to a creek. There were going to be kind of inherent kind of issues with that. There's a limit to what we can do with natural geography. We're doing quite a bit at this time. We're going to continue to do it. It's not something we've just done for a couple of years. This is now a yearly program for us, is to spend upwards of $15,000 a year on spraying for mosquitoes all over the township.
Okay, so if you're doing something, last year at this meeting, the people from the Board of Health said, we think in the catch basins is where the mosquitoes are breeding. In your one email, you replied that you were going to investigate the catch basins. What's the status of
I
that?
believe they did
We
investigate
did
the catch
put the
traps
traps
in
in
the catch
basin.
basins. They
You
were.
threw the dunks in there. So what was the results of the breeding going on in the catch
Honestly, I don't
basins?
remember
I'm
off
not
the top of
gonna
my head, but
remember
I
the-
can let you know.
Results
Okay.
from 9 months ago, but they were, as I said, they were lower than other areas. And
Because what the Board of Health found out when they looked is that some of the catch basins, there's a gully in there where water just sits, and they suspect that that's where the breeding could be. So they said that on some of the townships have went and they filled in that catch basin so that it's level with the drain pipe, so that way there's not a little gully that stagnant water sits at. So have we investigated that? Because this was all discussed at the meeting. This was all discussed at the meeting last July. So have we looked at all the catch basins to determine if if there's water, stagnant water sitting in there, if there's breeding going on. This is item number 1 from our meeting last week, and I sent everybody meeting notes so we could follow up on this.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that, I mean, obviously, you know, as you're talking about emails from July, I know the catch basins were looked at. I know that
They
statistics.
were tested by Clark Mosquito, right?
Tested by Clark Mosquito, and I remember looking at the numbers. We're getting regular updates all summer from Mr. Gray from Alden Avenue, Martha Circle, Chatham Road, North Park. Regular updates we insisted on getting, and numbers were going down. We are never going to eliminate every single mosquito in Falls Township. We're not. There's no way we can.
I don't expect you to do that, but when
no
I
way
have
we
people a
can.
couple blocks away that can actively use their backyard, and we can't even sit in our backyard without having sweatpants and sweatshirt and socks on in the middle of summer, is a different story. When 5 streets over, that's not a problem.
Mr. Urban, like I said, there's things we're going to be doing, going to continue to do, and we'll definitely look at the basin and find out what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do from DEP. But again, there is a limit to what we can do, but we're going to continue to work on it, and we have been working on it. I'm sorry that you're not feeling that as much of an impact. Again, we are working on it.
Well, it's hard to feel like there's improvement when we had this big meeting and nobody responds with anything.
Well, I apologize.
So you're telling me
for
there's
that.
all these statistics when I followed up with multiple emails and I don't get any responses.
I apologize. I kind of assumed that you were getting some of the emails about results from the testing, just to keep you informed.
I've said numerous times I'd like to
so
be
I
a part of
apologize for
finding a resolution to this.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And it was you, Mr. Irwin, also that initiated us hiring Clark to do the mosquito testing.
Right.
I mean, we weren't doing it for all the other areas, but when we hired Clark for North Park, we said we might as well do all the areas that are a problem.
So I mean, you've had an impact. I mean, whether you realize it or not, or whether it's not as big as you think it is, and you've definitely had an impact because we weren't doing it before. Whether that was right or wrong, it wasn't doing it before. So, and we're going to continue to do it. It's just there's a limit to what we can accomplish when it comes to this. We're fighting nature here. So.
Well, I think you need to find out where the mosquitoes are coming from, where the breeding's happening. Is that, like I said, you're treating the symptom and not the cause.
Okay.
And until you treat the cause, you're wasting your money spraying, really.
Did they not treat the water as well in some way? Do I remember that, or is that mistaken?
That was the board of health did that a couple years ago.
I thought
they
we were
said
going to
it's
have
not on them
Clark
to do
put
that.
the stuff in the actual water. I don't remember the details, I apologize, but I remember seeing the reports, and I do remember seeing the numbers going down. I remember the catch basin numbers. I thought we were treating the catch basins, no?
We did do the catch basins in the North Park area. I think it was in August.
They dropped something in there, right?
Yes,
Tablets
they
or
did.
something?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they really need to find out where the breeding's happening, and
Right.
it's the only way you're going to get to a resolution here.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Edgar Latuma.
Good evening, Edgar Lituma, Falls Township. I just want to ask a question, if we can do it. Advertise when is going to be the meetings, like you do in our channel, the Falls Township channels. Before they used to do that. But now, we advertise a lot of stuff like Little Leagues, Fall Soccer, everything. But what we can do, advertise the meetings we have here every 2 weeks and Tuesday. Because a lot of people watch the meetings and they're going to realize, okay, next time we're going to have this, when they're going to have the next meeting, because this morning was in the paper. And what is going to be, what we're going to have in the meetings. The agenda, what are we going to, I don't know if we can do that in our
usually on the
channel, the way the
website.
people, and the website.
It's always on the website. I kind of assume it used to be on the
I
channel.
believe it
It's not-
says the first and third Tuesdays.
But you're talking about the
It's
agenda.
not in the
channel.
channel. It's
Yeah.
not in the channel.
like
on the
the
TV
like
channel.
the agenda.
Yeah, it's not in the
too.
TV. That if you can do, guys, because before they used to be there.
Yeah.
Now it's no more. And people watch the TV.
Yeah.
Watch it's 2 weeks in between.
Right.
See, people, okay, we're going to have the next meeting. Most people, they don't know. And what are we going to be doing the next
Okay.
meeting?
No,
I don't know if we
that's-
can do
That's
that.
easy
You know,
enough,
that's-
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was
Some
on
people
the.
ask me, I go to the mall, they ask me, we go always to the meeting, why you don't ask that if we can do it? For that I come here, talk from, not
Yes,
only
we
for me,
certainly
for some
can.
people, they ask me.
Yeah, we certainly can. And I apologize. I actually thought it was on the channel already. I thought they would list the agenda periodically before our meetings on the TV channel, didn't
Well,
they?
yeah, I believe it's put on the Friday before the.
Yeah, the
following
agenda is
meeting.
usually on by the Friday before, starting this past Friday through the weekend. It should have been on the channel. But you're talking about just regularly putting it on this.
Yeah,
so,
like
yeah, we'll
regular,
definitely take a look
like
at what's
we
on
do.
there.
I watch all the time.
Okay.
Another last question I'm gonna ask. I've been asking this for how many years, and the fall soccer club, I belong to them. We have already 350 kids, almost 400 to start playing now in March. End of the March, go until June, and they start falls in August until November. If it's possible, the club can put some money. That way we can put the oil drain to do dogs, hot dogs, and burgers. That way it's more money for the club. It's a lot of people. I don't know, you'll be there every weekend.
Yeah, right.
And they practice every day. They're going to start next week because the park is very bad. I went to check and everything. I said, no, it's too muddy. I don't know. You told me one time it cost like $50,000 to do that.
Yeah.
You guys told me that.
You have hot water there now?
No, we don't have
I
it.
never did the hot water.
No.
It
We
was
don't
the
have
grease
that.
trap was the problem.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the problem. And cost money. But if we talk to the club with John Murphy is the president now of the Force,
Right.
we'll be able to put some money there. Only if you guys help us, because we don't have hot water there.
Yeah.
Who requires the grease trap? Do we know, Mr. Clark?
That would most likely be Lower Bucks Joint, if that's where that's discharging
think-
to, or Bucks County Water and Sewer,
Now,
depending on
refresh my
where it's going.
memory. They require some ridiculous sized grease trap.
I believe that they do, and I believe that was the cost and the installation of it and the upkeep of the grease trap.
Then the Department of Health gets involved once we try and sell hot dogs.
Well, that's correct. Then there becomes a Department of Health issue. But the expense was the grease trap.
Yeah, if you guys can help us get a game, see how much it's going to cost. I know if we talk to the club, we can help to put some money there. I talked to the last meeting in the club, they say yes. We know at the club we charge a lot of money like in other clubs. You know, YMS, Humeville, they charge a lot of money to the kids. Here we help a lot of the kids. Right. And we're trying to do that to help the club to raise some money. That way we don't charge the parents so much money.
I understand what you're saying. The other problem is going to be the Department of Health. I don't know if that facility is able to sell hot dogs in it. Because we're dealing with the same exact problem at the Pinewood Pool, where we can't sell food. So I think it's going to go beyond the grease trap.
Well, we can.
But the question comes in the size of the grease trap. I remember going back years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
That the size of the grease trap they required was for manufacturing hot dogs, but we're not actually manufacturing hot dogs. Am I correct in this? Do you remember this?
I remember that it was
Their
a
interpretation
very large
of the
grease
size of the grease trap we needed wasn't correct.
We can certainly take a look and see
Yeah.
what we need and how much it would cost. We
That's
can do that.
exactly.
We can do that part.
Because I know like YMS has, Middletown House,
Right.
well, because I drive all over.
Right.
Most of the clubs they have, and they say hot dogs and burgers. They help a lot of people on the weekends. If you can do, we can do something. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ted Sinaki?
They won't let them do that.
Good evening, Ted Snocki, Falls Township. A couple things. Guy with the mosquito thing. I mean, I know where he lives, and and it is probably a problem. But he's looking to you guys for help, and I know you were doing whatever you're doing. Apparently, he isn't working all that well. Might be working to an extent, but maybe we gotta do something different. I mean, I think Mr. Dent's kind of summed it up last meeting about putting a road in along New Falls Road. He said no amount of money is worth, it is a waste if you're saving somebody's health or or their life. So maybe something we need to really focus on. He's got a bunch of young kids. I hate to see anything happen to any one of them.
We're sensitive to his issue too. I mean,
Yeah.
I said we're sensitive to the issue. Like we spent money to hire the mosquito company, and
Nobody's
the
down
numbers
that.
did go down.
Yeah, nobody's doubting that. We're saying, but apparently it's not. Whatever. Okay. Boat ramp. Okay. Good video. And
Thank you.
I go down there like you do. I sit and look at
All the time.
I do that. Are we going to do the same repair that was there, the same exact thing? Because the pilings that were broke, are we just going to replace the pilings? Because if you do that, a year from now, 2 years from now, same thing could happen again. And I could not imagine what it would cost to replace them. Because I think last year we had $7,000 damage to the one pontoon, And So if we put these pilings in, I could imagine what it would cost per piling. And not only the ones that were ripped out and broke, the other ones could be canted or moved and may not align anymore. So this could be a whole rebuild. You know what I mean? So is there a different approach? Because, I mean, you go to like Canada or someplace else where they have the same conditions on their rivers. I know putting the pier out in the river was a challenge because you couldn't put it in the inlet somewhere. But, I mean, there has to be another technique, another engineering solution, because this could, get to be becoming very expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. The good news is we are covered by insurance.
Oh, it's covered by insurance?
So that's the good news.
Well,
but you're saying that the more downstream pilings, which are the ones that were in better shape, at least from our
they could be
knowledge so far, we don't know yet if, like you said, we don't know if they're usable yet.
This is all covered by insurance then? Okay, so it's not going to be like a money.
Right.
This was a rare event as well.
Right, sure.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, even the Army Corps of Engineers who dredge the river regularly said they've never seen the ice that bad.
Right, yeah. Okay, I lived along the river all my life, so believe me, I know what it'll do. Okay, the other thing is plowing. People, board members, and I guess make comments about, like people think it's easy. So I don't know where that comes from. I don't think anybody thinks that's an easy job. So to even say that, but I mean, I wasn't a victim or involved in any that we're towing, but I can't park all my cars in my driveway. So one of my cars always winds up in the street and using my truck. And generally when it snows, I would try to pull it up on my lawn. But as we spoke about, this was ice and I couldn't get my truck over it. And the other thing is that underneath there, where I could have probably put it, was I got my soil line, my water lines. On the other side, I have my gas lines, my electric lines. A little leery about driving over that stuff. You know what I mean? I don't want to disrupt that. So what is the solution? I know we have this ordinance that says you have to do this and that, but people today, everybody has more cars than they had before. Mm-hmm. I don't know how far back this ordinance goes. I mean, how many years it goes back. I mean, so things have changed over the years. Maybe it needs to be looked at. So what do you do? Just float your vehicle in the air? I mean, there's no place. I know certain townships were like making available like indoor parking for some of the residents and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, I just feel bad to see people getting their cars towed when they really have nowhere to put them. I mean, not everybody, but some people had that where just didn't have any options.
Yeah, I think, well, hopefully, again, talking about rare occurrences, hopefully we don't have a situation where you've got, like I had 4 feet of snow in your front yard where you couldn't pull a car unless it was a Jeep. You couldn't pull a car up on top of it anyway. Right. But no, it's, we are looking at the ordinance in a number of ways, and that was an issue that was raised. I know, talking about, is there some place where we could just say, for the night, take your car here? But I don't really know where that would be, because obviously if it's any kind of parking lot like here, that would need to be plowed too.
Right, I know. That's why I said I'll take my truck over to high school, but I can't park it there.
No, right, exactly.
What do I do with it, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's the thing, and I'm thinking like, sometimes you just can't cherry pick ordinances, because there's a lot of different ordinances, and I'm sure if I asked for a copy of ordinance, they'd be stacked this, and you're saying that residents, townships will know them all. Well, you have those people to help you, because you don't know them all, and they don't know them, they have to look them up too. So everybody can't be, you know what I mean? Because the other day when it snowed, I woke up and I went, oh my God, I said to my daughter, how much snow's out there? Is that more than 2 inches? I'm thinking, oh, my truck's going to get towed. And we shouldn't have to live under that anxiety of that, you know what I mean? That's kind of what I want to say.
Okay.
There was a few other things. And one quick thing is, you see all these scandals on TV involving politicians and stuff. It's actually nauseating, and people are really losing confidence in politicians and stuff. What is it the board here can do to boost, to reassure? I mean, it's got to start at maybe the bottom levels. You know what I mean? I mean, we can go back, Teapot Dome scandal. You're a history guy, you know. I mean, it goes way back. Yeah. You know what I mean? Abscan and the whole thing. You know what I mean? And it just goes on and on and on and on, and it needs to stop somewhere.
I agree.
So, you know what I mean? So to build the confidence of the citizens, you know.
Well, we're trying. We're never going to get everybody on our side, but I think we're trying. I mean, we have a good group of people up here. So thank you very much. Okay, those are all the names on the list that we have. Anybody else wish to speak? See one hand?
Hi, I'm Debbie Martier, Falls Township. I have a couple more questions regarding Three Arches. I realized watching the tape that nothing was really answered from the last time I was here. One thing in particular, if things are going to go on at Three Arches, when is the breakfast with the Easter Bunny? When is anybody going to talk to Mrs. Reese before she leaves and find out where things are or what things do or where her contacts are? That was just one thing. Another thing that I'm very concerned about, I don't know if you know, the painting that was found at Three Arches when the Reeses moved in there, $3,000 it cost to have that painting restored and what is going to happen to that now? I know Ann Porterfield's been trying to contact everybody, Pete and you. She's worried about the house, she's worried about the painting. There's artifacts in the back of the house that were dug up from the yard. Who is going to take care of all of that? There's people that want to know. Maybe you have plans, but that doesn't put my heart at rest not knowing what your plans are. Like, before the Reeses leave, something has to be done with some of that stuff. I think maybe a good suggestion would be if the painting goes to Pensbury Manor with the other Sartre family memorabilia. They reenact the wedding every year. I mean, Ann Porterfield paid a lot of, maybe give it to her. Maybe it's her family's ancestors. Give it to Sam Snipes. Do something with it. Don't just let it. I just feel like everything is just going to be over. I don't understand why Jeff, you and Jeff came at Christmas time. You wanted to see the house, do a tour of the house. I thought maybe you were going to get interested in it again, but it doesn't seem like that happened. None of you have ever even come, except for Bob, to the event. I mean, Pete, you have all those little kids. You never come to anything that was there. I think this was just all, it wasn't political. You keep saying that it was personal. So if it wasn't political, it had to be personal. You keep saying that Bill resigned, he wasn't fired. You say at the Park and Board meeting that he was fired and he has a big stack of things that he's done wrong. I don't think you could name one thing he's done wrong.
I could name several if you really want to name them here, but I don't think that's fair to Bill Reese.
I don't think that you could, Jeff. Honestly,
I can assure you right now, I can tell you mismanagement of the Pinewood Pool to the tune of over $45,000 a year. Absolutely, it's documented. Legal issues at the park, at the summer camp that exposed us to several lawsuits.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mr. Dents, I'm going to respectfully ask, I know this
Well, no,
is...
she's calling me.
I know. And
She wasn't at the park board
and I
meeting
know
when I
this,
addressed those
and I
people
understand,
directly.
and I know this is an issue.
But he has a personnel file that's very big.
Right.
No one has been given more warnings. No one's been sat down and talked to. And this goes back before any of us were here. You're going back to Wayne Bergman time. This problem's been going on for longer than any of us have been here. No one's been given more second chances, more last chances than Bill Reese. Absolutely. Everybody came here and acts like he's been this, you know, he was a very nice man. It's not personal at all. He's not a bad person.
Nice man.
He's a very good person.
His legacy will last in this town
That's
forever.
fine. But there were major problems. There's not a single person that works in this building or that is on his staff, whether it was working at the pool, working in the Parks and Rec department, the security staff, the finance department, not a single person was surprised this happened. Not a single one.
That is just an out and out lie.
That's not a lie. That's not a lie.
I can't stand, oh, Jeff, that is ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous. And no one wanted to do this publicly, but people keep coming here
Publicly? What about
making these
Di Lorenzo's?
accusations.
Is that publicly enough? I was there
Di
with him.
Lorenzo's?
What, Di Lorenzo's? He went there to get pizza. We went there to get pizza on a Friday night, and the guys behind the counter wanted to know why he freaked out at the Township and got fired. And I
I've
mean,
never
isn't
been to
there
Di Lorenzo's.
something that
Yeah.
you're not allowed to talk? Everybody goes there for lunch. Maybe not everybody, but people who work here go there for lunch. I've been there at lunchtime when people are there. It's a big thing. Mr. Rocco's there frequently. That's what the guys said.
And unfortunately, the township can't address people wagging their tongues and
Yeah.
rumoring
I don't know
and
where that
gossip mongering
rumor
at a
came
pizza
So,
place.
yeah, that is a rumor. I mean, I do, Ms. Martier, you know, I do want to address some of the issues you said, and I understand.
And real quick, I'm not trying to yell. I'm just a loud person. and I don't mean the microphone's on. I know I'm being told that I need to lower my tone. But this is not something that we woke up one day and said, you know what, let's get rid of Bill Reese. I don't like Bill Reese anymore. And it's not how it went down. This has been going on for a long time. You can snicker all you want, and it's not something we made up. He has a personnel file. You'll ask Bill Reese, and he'll say, oh, that never happened, but we have a personnel file. He's been sat down with attorneys many times to discuss issues, major problems. So this isn't something anyone made up one day, and it's not personal.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I want to make sure we're erring on the, and being as respectful. And again, nobody in this board worked more, with the Reeses than I did.
Exactly.
And so this was certainly not an easy decision for me to make at all. And I do have respect for them, and I like them personally. The issues that Mr. Dents is getting into and talking about certainly deal really with management issues and strictly management issues there were definitely problems. Just want to clarify, making sure that there's no, rumors, as we're going to start. I want many people to think put one and one together and come up with 5 as an answer. Simply management issues that went on. But
maybe the confusion comes from you saying he resigned and him saying he's fired.
That was his agreement.
Yeah, and part of it was that we're Mr. Reese has moved on. He has a job. We wish him the best of luck, and we generally do wish him the best of luck. The keys for 3 Arches were actually dropped off earlier. The Reeses have moved out. They had a couple more weeks. They could have remained there, but they chose to leave. They have another place to live already. They had that established. In terms of the things you're talking about, Ms. Russo, who is the Assistant Park and Rec Director, has been acting as our Park and Rec Director. She has, as Park and Rec Director, she has the responsibility for 3 Arches. Whoever comes in to take the reins will have.
For the township?
She does. Whoever comes in to take the reins.
All right. I don't want to make this personal. I'm worried about 3 Arches and the things that go on there. But
and I have been in touch with Miss. I have been in touch with Miss Porterfield. Right. Any other public comment? See no hands. Okay. We'll move to item number 2 on our agenda, which is the Pexco land development. Okay, Mr. Gray.
Yes, this is a preliminary plan of land development for Pexco, tax map parcel 13-47-166-4 and 166-5. They are proposing to construct an addition of 17,000 square feet at the site of an existing 45,000 square foot industrial building on an 8-acre tract. Tonight, representing the applicant is Mr. Doug Maloney.
Thank you. I was afraid you were going to refer to me as John Koopman. I'm filling in for Mr. Koopman this evening. Obviously, I'm not him. Just one word of correction, that is we're seeking preliminary and final land development approval tonight. I believe that there really aren't any issues, and I believe that we received the recommendation from the Planning Commission for both preliminary and final. I believe Mr. Fioravani's application to the board requested both. So I'd like you to consider both.
The resolution we have has preliminary and final.
Mr. Gray is right. This is about a 17,400 square foot addition to an existing 46,000 square foot industrial facility on Progress Drive. Pexco Custom Plastic Extrusions manufactures plastic extrusion products. I asked my client what types of things in the room that I can point out do they make, and he said, well, like those lenses that are covering your fluorescent lights, that type of thing. A variety of tubing and all sorts of material for medical use, scientific use, just industrial use or commercial use, lenses on the back of automobiles sometimes. So there's all sorts of, almost any type of thing that you can manufacture by plastic, they make. They have nationwide 1,200 employees in 11 manufacturing facilities, and they're very happy with this facility. This facility was built by Pexco in 1999, and this is the first expansion of it. The expansion is all in the back of the property, as you can see, and they don't envision initially in any event hiring additional employees. They're hoping in the long term that that will come to pass. What this is just making for a more efficient facility. They currently have 54 employees working on 3 shifts, 5 days a week. So they're working at almost full capacity now. This adds some warehouse space, some additional dye manufacturing space, dye storage space, additional office space, and it's just going to be a more efficient work area for them overall. So they're very happy to be here, and they'd like to stay here, and this addition will allow them to do that. The plan itself, some of the design features that we have already accommodated are, you'll notice that there's a fire lane that goes all around the back of the building. Your fire marshal wanted that. I assume that's a code change from when this was built initially. So that was added. This is also adding 2 loading docks to the facility. They're going to be in the new area. And other than that, it's pretty straightforward. There are 2 very minor waiver requests from your stormwater management ordinance. They deal with the size of a stormwater pipe. I think your ordinance requires it to be 15 inches, and we're proposing, I believe, 12 inches. Is that right, Mr. Firvani? And in addition, your ordinance requires certain materials to be used for stormwater management pipes, and we're proposing a PVC stormwater management pipe. The pipe involved, I think, is a relatively low flow, carries very low volume of water, and I don't believe that Mr. Sullivan has any objection to those 2 waiver requests. I have present this evening, in case you have any questions, Vince Firvani, who is our project engineer, and I think he was the project engineer in 1999. Correct. Doesn't look that old, but he did this in 1999. We also have J.W. Dalton, who is a senior operations manager who came up from the company headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia, just to answer any questions that you might have. So I hope you have some for me.
Okay. And we'll try and think of some. I want to apologize first off for our late start this evening. Usually trying to get you guys in out as fast as we can just to help you. So, but we had some issues we had to discuss earlier, so I apologize for that. Let's turn to board members for comments or questions. Mr. Galloway.
Yeah, Mr. Sullivan, you have no objections to the waiver request?
Yeah, the stormwater waivers they're looking for are for the roof drains, and normally they're made of PVC pipe, and they're usually smaller than the 15-inch minimum for a regular storm pipe. So I have no objection to those waivers.
Then I have no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Boraski?
No, nothing at this time.
Mr. Dents?
I'll be disappointed, but I have none either.
No, it's I guess really congratulate. It's a very, very clean plan. I understand obviously it's a pretty straightforward addition. I just want to make sure the one fire marshal review letter from March 3rd.
Yes.
You've seen that?
Yes.
Okay.
2 comments, I think, dealing with the building being sprinklered being the first comment, and of course the addition will be sprinklered. The existing building is. That's a building permit issue, and the other one dealt with the fire lane, which we installed.
Okay.
Or will install.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's all I had. I didn't have anything else besides that as well. Mr. Sullivan, any comments or questions from you?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any public comment needed? See no hands. Okay. We'll be looking at resolution 14-8. Okay, which would grant preliminary and final land development approvals to Pexco Custom Plastic Extrusions, tax map parcel number 1347-166-4, 1347-166-5, 16 Progress Drive. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is to consider quotes for fertilizer for township facilities. Mr. Gray?
Public Works Foreman Joe Arnao has secured 3 quotes for fertilizing services for Falls Township facilities. Some of the facilities included are Falls Township Community Park, Fallsington Park, Von Hoffman, Mill Creek Fields, Austin Drive, Pinewood Pool, the Falls Township Building, and the 3 Arches. 3 quotes were secured. They include True Green for $15,620, Realty Landscaping Corp. for $18,720, and Excel Maintenance Service for $19,325. The board is asked to consider True Green for fertilizing services for township facilities for 2014.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Gray? Mr. Dents?
Not at this time, no.
Mr. Boraski?
Mr. Gray, last year, can you tell me who we used?
Yes, last year we used True Green as well, and we paid $13,360.
And what was their cost again this year?
$15,620.
All right.
Difference is because we're going to have 2 soccer fields included, fields 3 and 5, and also a tick application at the Quaker Penn Park.
And was there any issues with Mr. Arneo that you're aware of?
He's completely satisfied.
Okay.
We've been using them for a while now, True Green.
Yes, several years, yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Mr. Galloway?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Any public comment? See no hands. Okay. Is there a motion then to retain the services of True Green for fertilizer service in the amounts or at the amount of $15,620?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Okay, next item on the agenda is consider an ordinance amending Chapter 173, which deals with peddling and soliciting. We'll turn to Ms. Gallagher to explain this one.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. This ordinance would amend Chapter 173, Section 2. The current version of the ordinance requires each permit applicant for a soliciting license to come in front of the Board of Supervisors to obtain that license. The recommendation from the administration was to change it so that the chief of police or his designee approves those applications rather than the Board of Supervisors. These are the types of licenses people come in and expect to get them the next day or the same day.
Okay. Comments or questions for Ms. This has been advertised. We're adopting this evening.
Yes, it has.
Or considering adopting it this evening.
Yes.
Comments or questions for Ms. Gallagher? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No, that seems to make perfect sense and make things a little bit simpler.
Yes.
Thanks.
And it's consistent with current policy in the township.
Mr. Dents?
No.
So currently, someone for example, the electricity, people that go around trying to get you to change electricity carriers, they have to come here to this township building, have to get basically permission to sort of go door to door. The police give that, basically that license to do that. So it's happening that way already.
That's correct. And then we noticed that the ordinance was not consistent with that practice, so.
Right. Okay. Okay. That makes sense then. Any public comment needed? See no hands. Okay, this would be ordinance 14-1. -1?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion then to approve ordinance 14-1?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item 5, consider ordinance amending Chapter 96, amusements and special events. Ms. Gallagher, back to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Harvey. This ordinance would do a couple of things within Chapter 96. It would expand the definition of special events that require special events permits to include block parties and like events. It also changes some of the liability insurance that's required. There was 2 sections in this ordinance that required the applicant to submit insurance information to both the township manager and the Board of Supervisors. We're again eliminating the requirement that the applicant submit anything to the Board of Supervisors for approval, and it would just go in front of the township manager. Because we're adding the block parties to this, we're also giving the township manager the authority at his discretion to waive the insurance requirements with the signing of a liability waiver.
Okay. All right, comments or questions for Ms. Gallagher? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No thanks.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Okay. This also has been advertised, so we're looking to adopt this. Again, streamlining the process, sort of, just going along with what makes sense, and making some accommodation for people that do, block parties. They have to notify us, just so we have to be able to notify special emergency services if they need to know that a certain street might be blocked off at a certain time because of a block party. That obviously is going to help them in terms of responding to an emergency. But we're not going to make residents of a certain block, put up a $1 million bond, for insurance. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So,
That's great.
okay, so no comments, no questions. This is ordinance 14-2. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, minutes for March 4th, item 6. Comments or questions, corrections? Mr. Dents?
Excellent minutes, once again, Mrs. Pullen.
Mr. Boraski?
No, I'm going to abstain. I wasn't here anyway.
Okay. Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
I actually do have a correction. So, spoke a little too soon there, Mr. Dents. No. Very minor correction, page 5. This meeting, as Mr. Boraski just said, he was not here. Had a family commitment that evening. Page 5, item 6, the vote at the end of that is 5-0, which obviously, has to be 4-0. So, yeah. Probably the most serious mistake I've ever seen Ms. Pullen make in the 10 years I've been up here. So I think thank you for those for the minutes, Mrs. Pullen, like always. So is there a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Engineers report, which is dated dated March 14th. This is the February engineering report. Okay, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. Just a couple of updates. The annual dredging at the boat ramp was completed this past week, right before the March 15th deadline. We used Money Island as our discharge point for all the dredging spoils that we took out of the river. They did an excellent job. They did everything within 2 days, and the boat ramp should be good to go after we put the docks in sometime around April 15th. We will be putting the docks in on the right side. It looks like those piles are in the correct place. We won't know for sure until we put the docks in, but we think they're okay. And they're actually out of the river channel. The ones that were damaged are in the river channel, and we'll be looking for a contractor, hopefully going out to bid in the near future, to get those replaced and get the left side of the docks all taken care of sometime before the end of the summer. Road contractor J.D. Morrissey returned to the site last week on Makefield Road, and we immediately started having more utility problems. We had to relocate a water main, and we're going to have to relocate another gas main and work around a sanitary sewer pipe. So that part of the project will continue to move slowly. Hopefully within the next 3 weeks or so, we'll get off Makefield Road. In the meantime, they will go back onto Kirby's and Peaceful Drive and start the sidewalks and curb and stormwater installation in those areas. And I believe that's all I have.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan? Mr. Dents?
Yes. What was your timeline again for the boat ramp? Did you have one?
Well,
getting the docks in?
Yeah, we try to open the boat ramp around April 15th of every year. So within the next less than a month, I guess, we'll be having the docks on the right side put in.
Okay. Makefield Road is a complete mess. I don't know what time they would finish up today, but they're gonna have to do something about the dirt. They can't leave the dirt. They're gonna have to get a street sweeper. Because when I came home from picking my son up at Penwood at 3:05, it was like a dust cloud driving down Makefield Road. Tried calling you, but it went right to voicemail. You were ignoring my call, I guess.
I apologize for that.
Back in the neighborhood over there off of Bernard Drive, where there was a lot of water on last Friday,
right? The
groundwater problem. Has that been resolved?
Temporarily, yes. I mean, that was a fairly large excavation just to move a gas main. They were pumping water out of the hole. It was groundwater. We determined it was groundwater. There's a lot of clay.
Temporarily, yes means no.
Temporarily resolved in that there's no more water running on the street or ponding anywhere. When the road contractor comes in, J.D. Morrissey, they will fix that problem permanently.
And what's the timeline for them getting in there?
They'll be coming back into the neighborhood within the next week or so.
Next week or so?
Yes.
Okay. And now they're going to be moving up Makefield Road where they're going to have another gas main, you said?
There's another gas main that has to be relocated.
And where's that at?
About 50 feet away from where the water main was.
Okay. And then there's a sanitary sewer line, you said?
There's also sanitary sewer conflict that we're going to have to resolve.
And where's that at?
Another 30 or 40 feet away from the gas.
It's all in
main,
the same
I think is what it
area.
is. It's all in the same area, yeah.
There's going to be a mess there for another week
Yeah,
or two.
they can do some work between the water main and the gas main, but then they're going to have to stop until we can get ULSDA, the PICO contractor, out there. But since they're in the neighborhood, we assume they'll just move right from what was Bernard and Walton where we had the big excavation. They can move from there right back to Mayfield Road.
PICO, you mean?
PICO, ULS is the contractor for PICO, yes.
I wouldn't assume anything they're doing. They were supposed to have the water off from 9:30 to noon, and that ended up being 5 p.m. on
Well,
Friday.
that was J.D. Morris that did that.
All right, so we're looking at another 2 weeks in the same spot of a mess.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, that's all I have for him. Thank you.
Mr. Brasky?
No, I don't have anything.
Mr. Galloway?
Nothing.
No, I don't have anything either. Public comment? See no hands. Okay, is there a motion then to accept the engineer's report dated March 14th, 2014?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, bill list for this month, $1,573,792.67. Of that, roughly 1.6 million. Over $1 million, most 1.1 million is health insurance and salaries. So obviously there's 400,000 left. Of that 400,000 left, roughly, 10% of that is electricity. About 6% more of that is fuel for vehicles. Actually, that's just regular fuel; doesn't count diesel fuel, as you can imagine. I did see a price in here for salt. I'm almost afraid to find it again. I guess not quail, $17,000. So, you know, the 400,000 left. About 17,000 for salt, about 40,000 for electricity, and about 17 plus 9, I think there's 11,000 for gas. Getting the idea in terms of where most of the money goes. You know, it's those kinds of items. Another $14,000 for parts and equipment related to snow. You know, vehicles, plows that get damaged in the course of the wear and tear. Just because of this awful winter we've had that everybody's having trouble dealing with. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the bill list? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Brasky?
No.
Mr. Dents?
None.
Any public comment? Okay, is there a motion then to approve the bills for tonight, $1,573,792.67?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Brasky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Okay, we had an executive session earlier this evening. Manager comment, Mr. Gray?
Yes, thank you. Just a few items tonight. The first item I have is just an announcement for the Trenton Avenue PCTI being conducted by URS has reached the final stages of preparation. Before URS finalizes their recommendations and presents the study to the Board of Supervisors, they propose to have an open house type of meeting. The purpose of the meeting is to present their preliminary recommendations to the various stakeholders along the corridor to obtain their input. This open house meeting will take place on Wednesday, April 9th at Eleanor Roosevelt Elementary School cafeteria from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. All are welcome to come to the presentation, review the improvement recommendations, and provide feedback to URS. Falls Township will be posting an advertisement for the meeting on our Township webpage, Facebook, and on Twitter over the next few days. Second item I have is a vehicle lease agreement between the County of Bucks and Falls Township. This is for a 2010 Chevrolet. This is in the amount of $1. This is for the period from January 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2015, or until recalled by the Bucks County District Attorney's Office. The board is asked to consider this vehicle lease agreement with the County of Bucks.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding the vehicle lease agreement? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Mr. Dents?
None.
Okay. Any public comment needed? See no hands. Okay. So this is just simple motion to approve the lease agreement. Is there a motion to approve the police lease agreement for a police vehicle from the County of Bucks to the Township of Falls in the amount of $1 period of time January 1st, 2014 to December 31st, 2015.
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Next item I have, the board is asked to consider a resolution to dispose of a 1999 Elgin sweeper truck. The board is requested to consider the personal property as surplus equipment and to be sold at a public auction in as-is condition. If approved, this will be advertised in the local newspaper. The board is asked to consider this resolution at this time.
Okay. Any comments or questions from board members?
Where were we going to be auctioning this off at?
This will be
Guys in the paper, or?
This will be in the Courier Times, and the auction will be held Saturday, April 12th in Plymouth Meeting.
That's all I have.
Any other comments or questions regarding the? No? Okay. All right, public comment? See no hands. All right, this will be resolution 14-9. Okay, authorizing the auction off of a 1999 Elgin sweeper. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item I have is the township received a letter from Jim Sullivan at T&M dated March 10th regarding escrow release number 1 for Mercer Court in the amount of $199,770.12. The board is asked to consider this escrow release at this time.
Okay, there's a lot of progress. They're pushing through that bad weather next door to us here, and they're making a lot of progress. So I know the residents that live behind this building and behind that property are looking forward to a much better way to deal with stormwater problems, which hopefully this goes a long way to solving that issue. So comments or questions? Whenever a builder reaches a certain point, we release a certain amount of the escrow they put up. We hold on to a certain amount just to make sure they do the work they said they're going to do. Once they reach that benchmark, then we can release some of it to them, sort of as an incentive to get them to do the job properly. Comments or questions regarding the escrow release?
None.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the escrow release number 1, $199,770.12?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
The township has a proposal from the law firm of Cardos, Rickles, Hand, and Bidlingmeyer as conflict counsel for the township at a rate of $170 per hour, the same rate as our solicitor, Rudolph Clark. The board is asked to consider this at this time.
Okay. From time to time, if one of the township professionals, engineer or solicitor, has a client that we also have to be dealing with in an adversarial kind of situation, we have to have a conflict counsel. Recently, Mr. Clark was named as solicitor for Pennsbury School District. If at some point in the future, Pennsbury School District and this township have some kind of disagreement over some issue, and we have to have our attorneys involved, obviously, we can't have the same attorney representing both sides, and so in this case, you retain the services of a conflict engineer. It's only in that kind of situation that this conflict engineer would actually be doing work, be making the same rate that we would be paying to our township solicitor. This is, I don't know if we've been thinking back over my time, I don't know if we've ever really had a situation with Pennsbury where we really needed to go to battle with them on anything, but it's sort of better safe than sorry. Have something in place in case we need it. Any comments or questions regarding either from Mr. Gray or from Mr. Clark regarding the legality of what we're doing? Looking to hire Cliff Bidlingmeyer as the conflict attorney for Falls Township.
None.
None.
Okay, Mr. Bidlingmeyer is a township resident, lifelong, very active in the community, knows the community very well. I'm sure he'll make an excellent, I know he's an excellent attorney, I'm sure he'll do an excellent job for us if we need him. Okay, is there a motion then to retain the services of Cliff Bidlingmeyer in the amount of $170 per hour?
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. All right, board comment. We'll start, Mr. Boraski, anything from you?
I'd just like to say it was a good turnout at the parade. I just want to thank everybody, and I know you have a big team. it's always nice. I think I've been doing it like maybe 3 years now, and it's nice to have the family out and see everyone, all your neighbors, and just thank you and your team. It's a good day.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep. That's it.
Mr. Galloway?
Yeah, just to echo what Jeff had to say, there's a lot of people that's involved in the Bucks County St. Patrick's Day Parade. I want to just pass on my thanks to everyone who helped out over the course of the year. And I might have mentioned it last year, but it's been said by more than one participant who also participates in the Philadelphia St. Patrick's Day Parade that we actually have many more spectators coming out for our parade than actually come out to view theirs. It's become a family affair, and it's really heartening to see everybody come out. We didn't have snow this year, and that was nice. And believe it or not, we're meeting this week to start planning for next year's. So, but thank you, and we look forward to next year's.
Mr. Dents?
Yes. I'm going to apologize again to Mrs. Pomartier about the comments about Bill Reese. This whole situation with Bill Reese is something that none of us were going to discuss, but we've been brought up again and again by people making accusations that we woke up one day and decided to fire Bill Reese, and that's not the case. And that's all I'm going to say about that. It was not personal. Bill Reese is a very nice guy. Bill Reese agreed to a termination agreement. This is where we were going, and he agreed to it. The letter we got from Bill Reese, or when he agreed to the termination agreement, he thanked us for the way it was handled, and that told us he was ready to move on in Falls Township. We keep having people come here tell us, Liz Reese should stay, Liz Reese should stay. We've heard from Liz Reese this week. She's never mentioned staying here. She's never asked, could they stay in Three Arches? She's never asked us, can they stay there for X amount of time? It was never an easy decision. It was never the intention of this board either to board up Three Arches, to sell Three Arches, or to walk away from Three Arches. Just because the Reeses don't live there anymore, what we're going to do with it, we're not 100% sure. We haven't been in there in a long time to see the upstairs, the downstairs. We have notified Walt Disney Elementary School, because I know that they do some events there, and told them that anything that they plan on doing will go through Parks and Rec. The same thing with all the events. Nothing is going to change. Obviously, we're hiring a new Parks and Rec director who will take over the events. But this was not an easy decision. It's not something that happened overnight. Nobody here, wanted to make this decision. It's not political. It's not personal, again. And again, I apologize to Mrs. Martier. I know she's very upset by this, obviously. But I don't appreciate being called a liar, because I don't lie, and nothing I said was untrue. So we sit here, and it's not an easy thing to do. Nobody wants to make decisions like this. This is not something that we signed up for or something we take lightly. And it is what it is now, and that's all I want to say about that. The parade was a great job. It's always a great day. It was beautiful weather. I read a story in the Levittown Now where kids get more candy at the St. Patrick's Day Parade in Bucks County than they do on Halloween, because there's kids lined up with bags filling them with candy.
Big one.
Yeah, big ones. It was a great parade. It's a great day. You guys do a really good job.
Thank you.
Pennsbury Manor did a great job at Charter Day. It was nice to see that. It was filled with people. They have something going on there every Sunday from now through October. So if you haven't been there, or if you haven't been there in a long time, you really should get down there. It really is a nice thing to do right here in Falls Township. And that's all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. I'll jump on the St. Patty's Day Parade bandwagon, and again, thank Mr. Galloway and all his the committee of people, a few of whom aren't named Galloway. Yeah. No, but it has been, 26 years, right?
Yes, that was their 26.
26 years of really a great time, and I don't know if it's, I always assumed sort of it was one of the biggest parades in Bucks County. If it's not, it's got to be up there with one of the biggest parades in Bucks County, and it's a lot of fun, and thankfully the weather was a lot better this year than last year. So yeah, we thank everybody who came out. We also thank the police officers who were there, not just from Falls, but we had Bristol Township Police, we had fire police from multiple companies, we had Public Works putting out barriers. It really is it's a community effort, and it's again, one of the great things about this area is the community atmosphere, and that's one of the great things all year is that parade. Just to echo what Mr. Gray talked about with the Trenton Road traffic study, this came out several years ago of discussions between Falls and Lower Makefield, but Lower Makefield was looking to sort of close off some roads in Lower Make that they felt people were using as a cut-through to bypass some of the traffic lights on Trenton Road. And where our fear was that when they decided to sort of cut off traffic on some of those roads, it was going to be rerouting traffic through some very, very small and quiet streets in the Burgess Manor section of Falls. And so we got involved to try and see what we could do, working with Lower Makefield, to prevent any kind of overflow traffic of people speeding through a very, very residential, kind of quiet, very small roads, small streets area. And what we decided to take a look at was, is there a way to make the traffic flow better on Trenton Road from the intersection with, where it comes 13, Pine Grove Road, whatever they call it, I always call it 13, all the way down to the bridge in Marsville. Is there anything we can do to make that traffic flow better so that people aren't looking for shortcuts? People are always going to look for shortcuts, but is there something that we can do to improve the situation? And that's kind of what this came out of. It was a state grant that we were awarded to retain the services of an engineering firm to take a look at this. And as Mr. Gray said, the meeting on the 9th of April at Eleanor Roosevelt is open to anybody from Falls, from Lower Makefield, from Marsville, anybody who has an interest in what's going to potentially happen to make that situation better. That's something that you can come out and take a look at. I mean, we'll be there obviously as well. 7 p.m. I think it starts at 7, right? 7 to 9, right? So, and as Mr. Gray said, we'll put that on the website and the cable channel so people are reminded of that. And lastly, just speaking of Mr. Gray, I feel like Mr. Gray got an undeserved amount of sort of negative attention this evening. A couple of people taking shots at him that I felt were not deserved. This is a very, very difficult job. He's essentially the CEO of a corporation that runs a budget, in the hundreds of millions of dollars with well over 100 employees, dealing with 35,000 residents, 82 miles of road, any number of issues any given day. And he does a very, very good job at running the day-to-day operations of this township. And he's paid a pretty good salary, but still the salary doesn't quite shield him from the kind of criticisms I think he got tonight, which were not deserved. So, Mr. Gray, I apologize for you having to go through that. I think you have certainly 5 votes of confidence up here on this board. So, with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.